What's going on, everybody? Disabled flat tire. Today we're gonna tie a crystal beadhead nymph. So in the vise, I already have my thread laid down. I already have my bead on because the hook is small and I have to have help with the bead. But the hook is a Mustad 9671 and a size 12. The bead is a gold Cyclops bead and 1/8 inch. I don't have any thin thread right now, so I'm using a pink Danville 210 denier. And like I said, I already got everything started. My materials are mostly laid out, so shouldn't be a super long video. But anyway, let's get started. So the first material I'm gonna tie in is a section of Marabou. I don't want a very long tail on this. I want a pretty stubby tail, about a hook shank length. Try to lay all this down. Sometimes the Marabou spins on you, especially me, because I can't necessarily grip it that well. If you have trouble with it, you can wet the feather. I usually have a cup of water here when I'm messing with Marabou, but I don't have it today. Give my bobbin a counterclockwise spin. Try to hold that where I want it. And lock it down. Some good wraps. The tail might be a tad longer than the shank and the hook, but that's alright. I'm not going to be too fussy. This is a fly that I used to buy when I lived in California, when I was getting fairly new into fly fishing. And this is one of those patterns that I had decent luck with in the reservoirs, especially for cut bow and small stock trout. It's just one of those patterns that I used to always have, and now that I tie, I figured I'd tie some of my own to make them a little better. So just lay all that down, do some thread wraps over it to lock it down, build up more of a little underbody. Adjust the tail to how I want it. I got all these fibers sticking out, so I'm just gonna take my scissors in here and clip those away. And I did do some of these pink ones on a size 4. Same style with the Marabou tail, cactus chenille, except the only thing different I did was I wrapped a hackle through it, starting in by the bead, and then I wrapped it back and tied it in. And I tied those for a friend in Idaho to use on steelhead. So I'm hoping he has pretty good luck with those. So I got our tail tied in. We got a nice little underbody built up. I'm few strands of this pink crystal flesh. Probably want to do 2. Lay it right on the side. Get it some tight wraps, and I'm gonna tie all the way back to behind the bead, and then I'm gonna fold it over and wrap back down, just to help me a little bit. Rotary vise for me really helps. I don't have the hand function to really hold on to the stuff. I can just grip it a little bit. So rotary vise for me really helps. Got the crystal flesh on both sides of the tail. I'm going to trim that to be as long as the Marabou. Get it to cooperate here. I'm gonna go back through and wrap down all this crystal flesh and just continue to build up a little underbody. And we're gonna end it right in the back of the Marabou again. This is where we're going to take some pink cactus chenille and medium. I'll go ahead and tie this in. Been having problems with my hands lately where my fingers are cramping up real bad, so it makes it kind of hard to grab onto some of the smaller stuff. Bobbin a counterclockwise spin. Now I'm going to use my rotary function, so I'm going to go back up to the bead and do a half hitch. Fingers are really not wanting to work today. And now we'll take our hackle pliers. And grab a hold of the chenille. We'll just start palmering this in. Keep the wraps kind of close together as best you can, where it builds it up kind of bushy. We're going to go right behind the bead. And go ahead and tie this off. And something I would suggest doing, so I can see it's already slipping a little bit, is before you palmer in the cactus chenille, lay down a little bit of super glue, and that will keep that chenille from spinning whenever you go to wrap it in. So with the body built up, go ahead and snip this off. I'm going to wrap over it a few times just to make sure it's locked in. And you don't know if you caught that on camera, but it did spin some. And I'm just going to build up a small head behind the bead. A little, kind of a little hot spot of pink. And we'll go ahead and whip finish. Just 4 or 5 turns. Cinch that down. The thread behind the bead built up a little more than I wanted it to, but it happens. And from there you can use head cement, super glue. What I've been using on these smaller flies I really like is the Solar Res Bone Dry. It's got that little brush and it's ultra thin, so it doesn't take much to really get into that thread to lock everything down. Move some stuff here so I can get my UV light. And we'll go ahead and cure that. That should be good. I have a few fibers on top that I want to trim off. Sorry, I have hooks and material all over my desk. Everything's kind of crowded. And there you have it, a crystal beadhead nymph. I don't know how well y'all can see that. Very sparkly, there's a lot of movement with a Marabou. I didn't add any lead wire, just the weight of the bead. But like I said, this is a pattern that I had pretty good luck with in California fishing reservoirs, or anytime whenever the small trout would come up from the hatchery. This was always a good little pattern to throw on. But I hope y'all enjoyed the video. There will be more coming for sure. If you all like this, please subscribe, leave a like. If you have any questions, leave a comment. I will get back to you. But I hope you all enjoy the video, and until next time, y'all have a good one.